Hey there, dive buddies, and welcome to the show. Today we're diving into the incredible journey of Todd Thimios, whose career has taken him from a decade-long dream job on Lord Howe Island to the glamorous world of super yachts. Working an extremely niche job as a dive scout for a scuba-obsessed Russian billionaire, Todd found himself jetting around the world creating underwater video and photography footage for his boss to review and decide if he wanted to dive there. Todd's book, Ultimate Dive Sites, launches this week and captures his passion for the underwater world and highlights some of the world's finest dive locations. So, join me as we discuss the book, Todd's journey, and hear of his future underwater plans. Also, if you'd like to grab a copy of Todd's book, it's available from the newly launched Scuba Go Amazon shop, which you can get via the show notes. Now let's get into the chats with Todd. Please enjoy.
Welcome to the Scuba Goat Podcast with Matt Waters. Let's dive right in.
G'day, Matt.
G'day, mate. How you going? Where are you speaking from? Are you up in Byron Bay?
Yeah, Lennox Head, just south of Byron Bay. Are you familiar with the area?
I've been up there once. We went and did a 5-day trip up there with me and the missus when she was introducing me to Oz.
Awesome.
So we went and dived with Simone at Sundive.
Okay, that was pretty recent. Then I think they took over maybe within the past 5 years or 6 years. So does that make sense with you visiting?
I think they're a bit longer than that. I think I seem to recall it went up for sale when I was still in Thailand. So
okay,
it's got to be closer to 8 years now.
Yeah, pre-COVID. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
mate.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, they've just interrupted. They've had an amazing season. It's really nice at the moment.
Well, I'm not surprised, considering there's only one dive shop in the town now. They must be going hell for leather.
They are. It's probably the same as where you're at. We've had an amazing run of weather all summer, just not too much rain, really clear water. And I had a chat with David, his partner, just this week, and he said it's the busiest season they've had since they took it off. Well, busiest summer anyway. So, but I'm sure they look forward to summer more than anything else.
I'd love them to come on the podcast, but I think the best way to do it would be to actually be in person in Byron, so that I can set the cameras up and get it all done properly. You know?
Yeah, that'd be fun. Sure.
Because I think David's story in itself is it's a good one, isn't it? So
yeah, definitely. Oh, that's a good excuse to come up, mate. You'll get a dive in and do some podcasts. It's probably a few.
Hell yeah. So have you always been based up that way?
No, I am originally from Cairns. All my family's in North Queensland, but I haven't really been there since I was in my early 20s. A bit of a timeline for you. I was born in Brisbane, sort of grew up there, but then all my family's in Cairns, so I kind of spent forever up there. And then in my 20s, moved to Lord Howe Island and did close to 10 years on Lord Howe Island off the coast as a dive instructor, and then hit that awkward predicament of like, I need to leave because if I don't leave soon, I'm going to be here forever.
Yeah.
There's very much a utopia, boys' paradise of just great diving, great fishing, great surfing. Nobody there, insanely beautiful.
Yeah. You know when you instantly really like people and then you go off them very freaking quickly? That's just happened. I'm so jealous of that. 10 years on Lord Howe.
Oh, wow. I loved it. I kind of I think I got to 29 and I was sort of like, okay, this is good, but I don't know how much as a person you're going to grow if you stay like into your 30s, and what challenges I'm going to sort of have ahead of me if I did that. So I kind of went to France and looked for work on super yachts, and started working pretty quickly as a dive instructor, dive guide I got a job, very good job actually, within 3 weeks of being there, as a instructor photographer. And that kind of sped into me being on a boat full time for 3.5 years. We went around the world 2 times and just dived like crazy. We had it was the richest Russian in the world at the time. He's still very rich, obviously.
Yeah.
And then his favorite, like his pastime was diving. So that was perfect for me. So I kind of, the job morphed on very quickly since I was there. It turned into like a dive scout. So basically I ended up spending half the time on board and half the time off board, scouting off new locations that he'd be into, spending a lot of time there, videoing them, recording them, photographing them, getting them ready for him to arrive. And then he'd get there and be like, I'd show him a video and say, all right, this is the Maldives, goes for 10 minutes. What do you want to do? And he'd be like, I want to go to, minute 3 minutes into it. And there's just like sharks everywhere, somewhere. Obviously, Russians, they love sharks. That's all they wanted to do. So that was incredible. And then I did that up until about, for full time for one boat. And then I did it freelance for a number of other boats. A nice little segue into your night at the circus. The other day, I did it for Todd, who's the owner of Circus, or used to be or maybe still is, I don't know. The owner of the creator anyway, Circus du Soleil.
Yeah.
So he was a client at one stage, one of the most recent ones. He just sold his boat. He had a sailing boat called Tiara. And he was a diver, but obviously amongst many other crazy things. So we had a few good trips with them as well. So I did freelance work for super yachts, sort of guiding expedition stuff until probably COVID really ramped in. COVID was find a base and get to your base quick, and who knows what's going to happen.
Is that what brought you home?
Yeah. So I went to Cairns. I was in Dominican Republic with Guy, the French Canadian, and you can see in his mind that the world's kind of melting down. Like something's going on. When those characters that are super connected start to panic a lot about cancellations and so forth, you realize it's pretty mega. So I went straight back into Cairns, and then stayed there for about 6 months or so. Met my wife, who was traveling. She's Australian. She was traveling in around Australia at the time, and hit off straight away. And she said, "Do you want to go and live at my old farm house in Lennox Head," which she was renting out.
Hold on, wait. Is this how you met your wife, or is she really?
Yeah, we met in COVID, maybe, like first year of COVID, for 2020, I think.
Yeah.
2020, she purchased a print of me, like a fine art photograph. And obviously she's asking all the right questions, and I saw the face behind the person asking. And we got together straight away, which is amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. 2 kids.
Is she a Cairns girl as well?
What's that, sorry?
Is she a Cairns girl as well?
No, she's from the Kimberley, from up in Broome, in northwest WA.
Yeah, no, I've just made the link.
Yeah,
it's her mum and dad that have got the booking website over
yeah,
that side
exactly.
of the world.
The cruise center. Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
They have one of the longest running, probably the longest running cruise center, which is like booking agency for sort of expedition boats that run up and down the Kimberley coast there.
Yeah, because they've got the big boats, haven't they? Like True North that cost you $1 gazillion a minute to be on it.
Yeah. So I haven't done too many trips on that coast, but we're actually looking at doing Rolling Shoals. Have you been out there?
I've not. I've got a few friends that have been there, and they absolutely love it. And it's obviously a bucket list item.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's off the coast so far just looks amazing. So so that's a quick little timeline to bring me to Lennox Head. We've been here since 4 or 5 years now, and 2 little girls. We got straight into business and made babies, and just loving life. Very, very, very different than before, but still busy, still doing trips, still trying to find any different avenue from photography, underwater photography as possible, which just brings us into books that we'll talk about later. Very lucky. Very lucky. And I've always loved this part of the world anyway. I've always had connections down here, so it's nice to be based here full time.
Oh, mate. I mean, it's when you look at the country as a whole, I think it's an absolutely beautiful country, and then you get those pockets where it just goes off the scale of wow factor. It's just beyond, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very special.
I mean, we've just come back we did a weekend in Bluey's Beach. It's only, 4 hours north of us here. And it's just so relaxing just to be in that location. And of course, we get the usual Bureau of Meteorology saying it's going to piss down all weekend and thunder and lightning, and we're going to be stuck in a cabin all weekend. But lo and behold, they were wrong, and it was just glorious sunshine. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, that's it. Well then, like when it's just such a diverse coastline, and it's just diverse. Like it's so different from one spot to the next, and quite I think, like, even here, we live in a pretty sort of public area, I guess you'd call it, like a pretty developed area. But we've got 7 Mile Beach down the road, which is just 7 miles of nothing on it. It's incredible. Right in the middle of everything too.
That's beautiful. So we spent the whole day down the beach the other day, and I'm from the UK, so a beach in the UK is dark, murky water and cobblestone if you're lucky, and the odd trolley going past. And then I sat there on the beach this weekend in my little beach chair, and I was like an old man. I must have spent nearly 3 hours of just saying nothing and just watching the world go by and the ocean do its thing. It was just phenomenal just to be in the moment.
It's funny how it's good to hear that. It's funny how you transform into different modes of sort of how characters on the beach. Hey, like now I'm the same. Now I've got like a little cool cabana, which every other family has. I got a little armchair. I got 2 kids running around, and I'm like, man, this is the best backyard ever. Like, I'm here all the time. It's a healthy environment for the kids too, because they're just washing off all the all the dirt, all everything else.
Yeah. I was just talking to there's a couple of friends of mine that were over in Thailand when I was over there, and they've bought themselves a sailboat, and they're in the Mediterranean at the moment, heading over to the Caribbean at the end of the year, and they're opening it up to families with kids so that parents can dive together, that kind of thing.
Awesome.
But they've got 2 kids of their own, and they're constantly asking the kids, "Are you sure you want to live on a boat? You don't want to go and live in a normal place and go to a normal school?" They're like, "Nah." You can just imagine them swearing if they knew what swearing was. They just wake up in the morning on a boat and they go, snorkeling and swimming, do a bit of schooling and down the beach, and it's heaven.
I would love to do that. I think that if I could crystal ball it, I think we might be doing the family little sailing boat thing one day, but got to get all the chess pieces in line first, right?
Yeah. Well, you never know. If you end up having to take the Sprogs on holiday, you can chuck your Reese's way and you can go and spend a week with them on the boat. They're great fun.
Mate, so you've dived Thailand a lot, right, in the past?
Yeah. I spent, first time I was there, like 4 years, and then I went to Papua New Guinea and then back across to Thailand for nearly a year. So yeah, it's like a second home.
I always loved Thailand because I kind of found it in my early 20s. I think it's the whole like local Thailand thing, like doing the Koh Tao sort of, whatever you want to call that, culture. But I probably didn't really discover diving in Thailand until late part of my 30s, and just like because I was sailing boat based as well, and it just goes off. It's just such a nice coastline. There's so many different sort of hidden away places to dive. It's great for sailing.
Yeah,
and that's really the dream, right? If you can live on a sailing boat, eat Thai food, and go diving every day.
Well, that's the dream, isn't it? And I was fortunate enough to be, managing a boat in the Similans. So we do the Similans and Surin Islands, and we did exactly that. We went diving every day and ate Thai food, and loved every minute of it. To be honest, spent probably every 5th or 6th day we were at Richelieu Rock. So it was just fabulous, dream come true.
Richelieu Rock, and what's Koh Bon right next to it? Is it Koh Bon and Koh?
Yeah, you've got Koh Bon, Koh Chai, and then Richelieu Rock.
Koh Chai. Man, I love that. Just think of memories now about stuff like the Green Monster. Like walls. You got sort of good visibility, but then you got this green cold current comes through, and it kind of goes down to like half, maybe 10 meters instead of 20, and you're instantly cold because it drops, I don't know, 5 degrees, maybe a little bit more. And you're sort of hanging on to like kind of just comatose, you go into hibernation mode, waiting for it to go past. But I say that because I had one memory where I think it was Koh Bon. I think it was Koh Bon.
Was it on the ridge?
It was like the one that has a like a big sort of keyhole in the rock formation there.
Yeah, so that's Koh Bon.
Anyway, on the back of the Green Monster, there was a wow shark. And I was just like, how good is that? Like, that is just like all the elements. And you, straight away, the thing like the penny drops in your head, right? Because you're kind of like, it's not a coincidence there's a wow shark there. It's because it's, that's a rich nutrients of the cold water. It's probably just following, maybe it's moving around like a cloud and it's kind of doing its best to stay with it. I don't know, but like, it was awesome. It was kind of just like going from like freezing, can't see anything, popping your head up and it's like, oh, look who's on the back of the clean water coming in.
Yeah. I used to, whenever we did Bon to Chai or Richelieu, I'd mention the Green Monster, and sometimes down at Three Trees as well in the Similans. And I I'd mention the green monster and explain it's cold water, nutrient rich, blah, 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 but it's really cold. So, excuse me, when it comes through, don't instantly tell me that you want to go back and have a beer and end the diving day. Just give it 5 minutes and see what comes through, because generally you've got that wall of fish that comes with it as well, because all the little fish are feeding on the plankton and all the bits of crap that's in the water there. Sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes you just end up dithering. So, there's a few times I've turned around and seen guests and they're, do you want to stay here or do you want to go up? And, they give me the sign that they just want to go and have a beer, and that's it, done.
And how's your guide travels? Do you get, you just have scheduled in trips each year that you get away for, or?
Yeah, not too shabby. I mean, we did the Galapagos last year. I took Galapagos Master and we did a week on there with a few guests. And
pretty good.
Oh yeah, I mean it's our second time out there, and I say our. I tend to want to lead me expeditions, but then the really good ones, the missus wants to come along as well. So, she's highly appreciating that. So yeah, it was second time round. So we've done Galapagos Sky and Galapagos Master, and both trips were fabulous and just very lucky. It was great interactions in the water and no dramas with major ripping currents or anything like that. So yeah, we enjoyed it a great deal.
For me, it's a top 5 dive locations in the world without doubt, and it's kind of my favorite diving too, which is just sitting on the bottom, really in a kind of current, waiting for something to turn up. Like it's kind of just sitting there waiting. It can take ages, but what happens? And when you're waiting, you're observing, you're seeing how everything's connected together, and all of a sudden, one of those big pregnant whale sharks at Darwin's Arch just comes up at the last minute.
Yeah. We had a massive tuna come through last year,
sweet. And
it's the first time I've seen a proper size one. I shit you not, it must have been over 300 kg, and it was just that plateau that they take you to, like they call it the theatre or the amphitheatre or whatever. It was just right off the lip of that, so maybe 2 meters off your. Yeah, it's fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did you spend down there then? Did you go down on the private yachties?
Yeah, I did. I did the Galapagos once, and I did it by super yacht. And
by what? Sorry.
By super yacht, like sort of we had super yacht, but we obviously employed, I forget who it was, like a Galapagos agency, like a dive agency that joined us. So we had dive guides from one of the boats out there with us. And I think there is a fixed amount of time. This was a long time ago too, like 10 plus years. I think there's a fixed amount of time you can spend at each location, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. But Wolf Rock and Darwin's obviously, like that's where it's at. Yeah, beautiful memories from both times. Just kind of having what I was talking about before, just staying put underwater for long. We have rebreathers as well, so that was
nice.
Yeah, just staying there on rebreather for an hour and a half, and nothing happens. But what I mean, nothing happens. It's just like you still got the beauty of Galapagos moving in front of you, and then all of a sudden, maybe the hammerhead shoals come in or whatever. But the funny part of all that, I say that's my favorite kind of diving time that I was in Galapagos with the Russian owner. They've got no patience, hey, like your briefing is like, listen, we got rebreathers. Rebreathers means that we can stay down for so long, like we just don't go deep, stay at a certain depth, hold on, wait for it to happen. And I mean, I can spend 2 hours in one spot waiting for something to happen. I think after 30 minutes, you just see this guy who's like 4 of us, me, my other dive buddy, another camp photographer, and the owner, and all of a sudden you see the owner like just let go of the rock. It's just you guys and everyone just looks at each other like.
Yeah, there's no hanging around once you let go, is there?
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, it's nice to be in the blue there, but you just got to hang on and wait, right?
Yeah, I mean, people have always asked me to describe it, and I think it's relatively simple to describe, but it's hard to picture because we get taught as divers never to touch anything. Don't touch the bottom, don't lie anything, be careful with coral, blah, blah, blah. But especially when you're looking at Darwin's Arch, that main section there where the current runs through, it's just lava rock. So, you've got to hold on to it as well. Otherwise you are gone. Your dive's 10 minutes long. So it's completely puts diving on its head. And I'm in agreement with you. I love it. Just being static and watching the fish world come past and come and say hi.
I think it's a different beast. Hey, like I'm all for it when I touch the reef. Like, it's a no-brainer. But your Darwin's Arch and Wolf Rock, they're not coral gardens per se. And they're not like just fragile reef everywhere. And probably the main thing about it is it sorts the novices out from the expert divers, maybe we'll call it. So maybe the dive crowd's reduced. You're not going to have a bunch of sort of rookies or novices holding on, destroying everything. I think you're going to have, we'll put it this way, I've got a reef hook, I've got a massive red camera, and an enduring 3 knots of current in the face, so I probably shouldn't be there, but I've got my stripes, I'm ready to be there. I can handle it. So
yeah. To be fair, the first trip we did there, I took my camera, took the big rig and strobes and everything, jumped in, did maybe 4 or 5 dives, and then I just ditched it and went with the GoPro.
Yeah.
It was just too much to handle in the current.
So, and you're going to get more out of it anyway. If it's not a paid job, you want to enjoy it and see it with your own eyes and everything else. How was the hammerheads in your last trip that you did in recent years there?
The last one wasn't too great for the hammerheads. They were further down in the colder water, because we went July, and it was surprisingly warm. I think last year everywhere in the world had weird weather conditions and water conditions, but it got up to 28 degrees at one point, and I'm just using shark skin in the water and not a 7mm. So we were going to have to, when you come off the that theatre area and the rock, and you go across to the sands, which ditch down to maybe 35, 40 meters. So they were hanging around the 28 to 30 meters mark.
Yeah, it makes it a tricky.
So, yeah, we got a lot of them, but the people that hadn't been there before didn't actually get that stereotypical, hammerheads shoaling above you. Yeah,
that's what it's all about. Hey,
it is, unfortunately. Yeah,
kind of just like, that's for me. That stuff keeps me up at night. I'm just like, that's like the core memories when you see that sort of thing. It's just it's one of the best wildlife events on the planet. If you find it like Galapagos or Cocos, other places, Marbella, sorry. If you can just find yourself witnessing something like that, there's hammerheads going nuts. I'd do that every day in my life.
Yeah. And especially when you're doing the photography as well. I do a lot of photography. Very rare that I'll jump in and do a dive without a camera in my hand of some sort. Usually the big rig. And in fact, I'm itching to get in the water again now. The missus got me a retro snoot for Christmas.
Wait.
So I want to get down Clifton Gardens here and start shooting macro again.
Experiment for some time. That sounds great.
Yeah. Hey, anyway, let's talk about your sexy book. Thanks for sending it through a copy.
I've got a copy here. I was got one in my backpack, so I thought I'd have it on standby. You've seen the digital copy, but
I did.
Sorry, I couldn't get you one of these hard copies out in advance.
Oh, mate, I'll snag one from you when you come down for the dive show in March.
Yeah, it was. It was very good.
Yeah. So what was the switch that decided you were going to become an author and write this book?
That's a good question. As photographers now, we no longer just take photos and make money from taking the photos, right? It's just, you've got to diversify in this as a photographer. Like what it is to be a photographer these days is so different than what it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So I'm always looking for different ways of sort of diversifying income as a photographer, underwater photographer anyway, because it's niche. And obviously a book's always like this personal, goal of mine to have a book. But then came around that COVID time, having 2 small children, being home a lot. I did realize that I've basically got a really good intellectual knowledge of some of the best dive sites in the world, and I've got photography of it all too. So we started pitching the idea of different books, but probably the most obvious one was a bucket list sort of mentality book of like a top 50 dive experiences in the world. So once we got signed by Hardy Grant, the publishing house, which I'm very grateful for them taking on the project in the first place, it was kind of nice to see the initial pitch evolve into something different. at the core, at its core, it's the best, it's a rundown of the best 50 dive sites in the world, or dive location. Sorry, better way of saying it is best 50 dive experiences. And what that means is that we've brought in scuba diving locations, or experiences, scuba diving experiences, free diving experiences, snorkeling experiences, and we've touched on submersibles as well, right? And that was fun, to kind of diversify that list. So so that was for me, just to put together this list of 50 best dive locations. Because everyone straight away, what's your favorite dive location, or what's the best one in the world? And you're like, well, it's pretty complicated. It's not as straightforward as that. Like, what are you into? You want to see big stuff, little stuff? So it was a very fun project. And probably the best part of it all is to go through all your hard drives over all those years of photos that never see the light of day. Talking about Galapagos with you just before, realizing that those photos live on your desk, on your hard drives, and they don't come out. And to put them into print, it's the best place for a photo, right? If it's not on a wall, it's even better. It's in a book. So yeah, it was a lovely journey. It was a 2-year journey, pretty much from around today to when it's conception. And it's amazing to see the physical product in front of me.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for it, isn't there? It's I kind of, when I was reading through it, and I picked up on that bit about the hard drives. And instinctively, I'll just look down to my right at the stack of hard drives that I've got, and that shit.
Yeah, and then you realize, like, hard drives, they don't last either.
No.
And also, it was kind of nice to go, all right, I've got that photo off a hard drive, and it's on paper now, like, it's out there. But no, it was a lovely experience to do it, and it was really fun putting it together. And I had a wonderful editor, Deborah Dixon Smith. She helped me as an editor, put it together too as well, which was awesome. She's a very well-traveled diver. She runs Dive Planet.
Yeah, she's been on the podcast a couple of times.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, so that was excellent. We kind of it was funny actually. We were shopping around for an editor, and we didn't realize that we had a say in who the editor could be. Probably more like it. And then my wife actually, she knew Deb from a previous life, and with Australian Geographic, and said, "What about her?" I was like, "I don't know, Deb, but this would be a great idea." That was Deb took it on, and it was really fun to work alongside her when it came to the editing process. And then thanks to Hardy Grant as well. They gave us a bit of leeway, I guess, in the best way of going about it.
How does it go with the publishers then? They have to strike up a deal on what they're going to do for you and what they're going to get from it, obviously, and don't need to go into numbers and that kind of stuff. I'm just intrigued on how everyone gets a slice of the cheese and decides that this is a good project to go forward.
I think ultimately they're investing in you, so they need to, from your pitch, they need to know that this book's going to sell, because there's a lot of not glory projects, but vanity projects. You're right. So I could write I've got 100 book ideas, but I think they're great. I don't. So I'm not sure if other people would, but well, I don't think about it. I'm not sure if other people see money in it, more likely. So they just need to come on terms with seeing if the book would be profitable, if it would appeal to a large market. Obviously, they had a big demographic. They've got an audience all over the world. So it was important for me to make a North American and a European audience happy as well. I could easily do top 50 dive sites of the world and not leave Indonesia.
Yeah.
That brought another element to it. So it was nice to kind of and I dived a lot around the world anyway, so I knew that it wasn't hard to find really good experiences all over the world.
Yeah. And you got some fabulous photos in there as well, mate. And
Thank you very much.
Yeah, there's a few I'll ask you about in a bit that put the shivers down my spine.
I think when I just sort of to catch up a little bit, I think the word experience has really kind of got more and more potent during the making of the book, because I sort of realized that the way that we dive is pretty different. The way that I used to dive back in the day is different to how I dive now. I think the whole sort of bucket list mentality is probably a little more evident than ever before. Like trying to, like all my life I wanted to see hammerheads in Galapagos, or all my life I wanted to dive the Northern Great Barrier Reef, or see weedy sea dragons or leafy sea dragons in South Australia. So I think traditionally we probably just sort of always enjoyed scuba diving in a holiday destination or going somewhere new that was like a diving location. Now it's sort of more orientated around like, I want to see orcas. Where do I see orcas? In the Arctic maybe, or I want to experience sailfish or marlin, and where do I experience that? In Baja, Mexico. So I kind of really, and that was my job, was to kind of put these experiences in front of people for a long period of time. So I really enjoyed that direction of the book, trying to think about like, all right, what are the best sort of experiences we can do? Because as I said, it's easy to reel off the best dive sites per se around the world. And that's just scuba dive. That's just kind of, that's recreational scuba diving basically, there to sum it up. But it was nice to really give the book a experience kind of based thing. So,
well, it's not only experience as well. I mean, for me, it gives a little insight into, arguably, if you're a diver, probably the best job in the world is, dive scout, and a nice insight into who you are as a diver and a person as well.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it was nice to put my previous work into a book.
Yeah. And when do we launch?
It comes out on the 29th of January, so we'll say the 1st of Feb. There's pre-sales at the moment. All the fine details, but you can grab it on my website. If you're Australian-based, it's probably the best way of doing it. And there's all small bookshops and even some big ones called Amazon all around the rest of the world. So hopefully it's very easy to find.
Yeah. Well, chuck me the links, mate. I'll throw them in the show notes when we're done as well.
Legend.
Now, let's dive into the book a little bit, shall we?
Let's do it, please. I'll follow your lead.
Well, I've got a few written down. Speak to me about Antarctica.
I think that was an important one for the audience, because from the publishing house, I said before, they sort of said, listen, can you keep that demographic happy and this demographic happy? I'm like, well, I can, but we can't leave out Antarctica. People are going to say, I'll ask a lot of questions about like this continent on the bottom of the globe, and can you dive down there and so forth. So
I'm actually listening to audiobook of Shackleton.
Wow.
So when you're thinking of, late 1800s, that the first people going down to the Antarctic and they're all dying because it's so freaking cold. And yet nowadays people are going there on holiday. It's just insane advancement.
Yeah. Some of my friends are expedition guides down there, and they said, so basically there's boats every day of the year, well, every day of the season. But they've got rotation. So this wonderful concept of like, we're down in Antarctica, it's empty, it's wilderness, it's no one down here, but like, every day they sort of tag in, tag out, and they take a different route so they don't see each other. And
yeah, I kind of imagined it like that because much akin to Galapagos, as you mentioned earlier on, they precision timing for all of the dive sites, and I think when I first went there was 7 boats. There's now 12 or 13. I don't know how many more they're going to go. We'll see, but hopefully they'll maintain that, timely fashion of moving, so you do feel like you're somewhat remote.
Yeah, otherwise it's the Thailand thing, right? You kind of you just kind of but you kind of you hear the dinner bell of another boat diving in the water, and you look across it. You're right next to that. I had 3 Thailand question. Oh, you can't ask me that because you know more about Thailand than I do. So don't ask me that.
Oh, I can ask you all about Thailand, mate. Oh, don't worry about that. But in fact, no, let's stay on Thailand for a minute. Did you? How long did you spend there? Because you went up and you did Myanmar as well, didn't you?
Yeah, so a few different trips. So we've done up the Simlan coast. Done a trip there, sort of with the grand finale around Urishulu Rock and Kobon and everything else like that. I think I did that trip with guests, and then we went back to Phuket, dropped the guests off, and did the same trip again with different guests. So done that twice, and then we did the southern Thailand, which was what do they call it? Southern Thailand.
Oh Jesus! You mean down towards Koh Lanta and
off the coast of Koh Lanta? Yeah, there's a number of little islands out there, which was amazing as well. But then we did a expedition trip into the Mogui Peninsula.
Into where, sorry?
Archipelago, sorry. The Mogui Archipelago.
Yeah.
Myanmar. And that was amazing. That was really cool. We kind of had green water there for the whole trip. I think kind of just, it was just a lot of upwelling in that whole sort of trip, but it was a manta expedition, so they wanted to see manta rays. We did see quite a lot. We saw really good diving, amazing fan corals, huge fan corals. Black Rock, I think Black Rock's probably one of the famous sites up there, other sites. But what really struck me too was just that invisible line of kind of protecting an area and not protecting an area. So Mogui just, you can see that they knock it around. A lot of fish traps in the water. So it was really, really good diving, but it was hard to see how it wasn't managed.
Yeah.
But definitely, like, it has to be on any list. I think on its day, it's going to rival the Similans as well.
So what year was this?
Went with the Panisi, probably in Panisi. I know that was the Manta trip. Manta.
Oh, Steve Vessel's boat.
Yeah, Steve. I don't know his surname. Steve.
Dutch guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy Dutch bastard.
Wow. I don't know him well. I've met him with that sort of dive show, and I haven't seen him again since. But yeah, I think it was with Manta Trust.
Ah,
awesome. Yeah, like, I mean, and you can see, and then you go and visit these islands as well. Islands are stunning, right? There's I don't know, can't remember the names of certain islands there, but just hidden away horseshoe bays. I think one of the islands was called Horseshoe Island.
yeah,
and just so pretty and so remote. Yeah, but that was interesting to go just that, because it's really an extension of the Similans if you look at it on the map, right? So it's just amazing to see how, I say protected in Thailand. It's not really protected. Like, it's protected, but it's as we were talking about before, it's mismanaged in a sense of 20 boats on the site. But but then to go up to somewhere where there was less boats, less dive boats, but then no conservation practices, fishing and whatnot, it's pretty hard to watch.
I must say, in Thailand's defence now, in the last, I think it's 2 or 3 years, they've started issuing tickets for the dive sites.
Yeah.
So when an operator decides they're going to do a trip, then they've got to collect the diver's passport number, and they buy a ticket on the back end of that passport number. If the diver doesn't turn up, they can't use that ticket for another diver. So they've tightened the noose somewhat, which is quite good to hear. And it spanks of, like, probably a decade ago now, the island that's at, well, Kota Chai, the dive site there, the island. You used to be able to visit it and go on the beach, but the speedboats went there on the masses with the snorkelers and all that kind of stuff. So they made a mess, and the government said, you know what, you're banned. Yes. You're not coming on. No one's ever coming on again. So they got it eventually.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, look after, it's so pretty. Look after the place, please.
Yeah. Now, I know you've got a book there in front of you. Know your book. You probably know your book because it's your own book. But page 53,
right.
Anacondas.
It's like a test. Please open your book to page 50. Oh man. Yeah.
So there's the big ass anaconda on page 53, and then there's a photo of a diver in the water on page 62, and that just freaks me the heck out. That
was really fun researching that. We found the one guy that kind of does it reliably in the Pentanel there. Not cheap.
I can imagine.
Not cheap to do. Bookings way in advance. A lot of factors kind of need to align to score it. I think you need no rain, basically, because you need all the waterways to dry up. And it's got to be a certain time of year too where the anacondas have just eaten and they're sort of dormant. You know, they're not super active. The last thing you want is a very active, very big snake. But incredible.
That photo on page 62 with the diver.
Yeah,
it looked like the diver's buddy's inside the bloody snake.
He's like photographing his buddy, but you can't see his body. His buddy's inside the snake.
Jesus, I think I'd be I'd be a bit dubious about getting in the water with those buggers.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because then putting like a list like this together, I think anything that gets the heart racing before I'm about to jump in the water, anything that makes me think, okay, you realize you're about to do this, or you realize you're about to have this experience, or that kind of explains your addiction to orcas. Yes. Well, there you go. Because I get asked that a lot. Do I find them, like even this morning I was asked if, do I feel threatened or unsafe? And not for a chance. And I can't even remember the first I do remember the first interaction with an orca, but I don't remember the hesitation of getting in the water. I think I was just like, this is real. Like, and also you got the environment, right? Like it's probably the same as being in the Pensacola. You see yourself, you're on a little outrigger sort of canoe style thing, and you're in the jungle, and you're like, okay, wow, I'm in the jungle here, and I'm like, what do I do next? I jump into the water.
Jump in the water with a snake that can eat me.
Yeah, and then Norway's the same, right? Norway is just so pretty. Like the light's incredible. The mountains are huge all around you. The water's dark, but it's very clear. And you're just like, I'm supposed to get in the water. Like that's why I'm here. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've hit a call with me. The Orcas in Norway is something that's defined me for many years. I've made 5 return trips and haven't been back since 2020. So I went every year, kind of got possessed with the idea of shooting something that looks like that cover. It came together on the last trip. The last trip I got amazing imagery and kind of just felt this nice weight come off my shoulders. Not that it was like a pressure, because I really enjoyed the chase of it all. But I just fell in love with Norway too. Just fell in love with sounds silly, but being really cold.
Yeah.
Fell in love with cold water diving, if that's what we can call it, like cold water free diving. Fell in love with the elements of just, as I said, like feeling alive and having big mountains all around you, that perfect light where the sun never sets. Well, it is setting the whole time, but doesn't get any higher. Short days, so only like 4 or 5 hours of light. And, and then orcas in the water, it's just incredible, man. They're just they feel so intelligent. They feel so smart in the sense that you're just not threatened at all because you know that they're way smarter than you. It's kind of that's my ignorance and feeling safe in the water and comfortable in the water, because I'm like, these guys just know what they're doing. They know how it all works. And I must look like some big frog man in a rubber suit that's flailing around, and they realize that person is not supposed to be there. He poses no threat.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely love Norway. And we're actually looking at going back this year for the first time. What's that, in like 5 years, maybe? But doing it very differently. Normally I've had land-based camps. This time I'm going to sail. So,
okay.
Yeah. So
not with the missus and the offspring.
No, I did invite the missus, and she's a broom girl, as you know. So the concept of 3 or 4 degree water and -15 wind chill sometimes, it's like, nah, that's for you.
Yeah. Not a cat and else chance you get Jazz going there either. She's got a 7mm and a heated vest just for diving here in Sydney. So it's not getting any colder than this.
It's funny to say how I like falling in love with being cold, because I had I think one of the trips there, I couldn't use my keyboard or mouse pad for weeks afterwards because the fingertips just had no feeling in them. And, you get out of the water and you're banging your hands together and you're putting like welding gloves, like not welding gloves, but the equivalent of, like to keep them warm, and just loved it. Love being cold.
So when do you go back? Is it next year?
November. I don't want to give away too many secrets, in a sense of timing and everything, but November's, the whole world knows that already. November's the target sort of, it's all about light, all about youth. I think towards the end of November, depends where you are, and how north you are. But towards the end of November, days get shorter and shorter. And for some reason, maybe it coincides, I don't know, but the herring are most active in the fjords.
Yes.
In winter.
Yeah.
And they're probably very active in the dark in your December and January's. And maybe we're just getting it on the verge of that. So maybe the herring have just moved into the fjords in the daylight months of November, say October. But you really want that cusp of when there's no light, but there is light.
Yeah. I was going to actually ask about the sea conditions, but yeah, that makes sense. If you're getting them in the fjords, then it's going to be relatively good for the boat, isn't it?
Yeah, yes and no. The wind really whips up those fjords because the mountains are so high, it just funnels through. And it happens fast too, right? So you look at the forecasts of weather, and some days it just says like sunny, sunny, sunny. You're like, oh, cool, we're going to be okay. And then you just get this blizzard that rips through. And the interesting thing, so yeah, it does get rough. Probably don't want to venture too far from. I have one story for you. One of the first trips we had a tender, or like a tender with a cabin on it. So I had 4 divers with me, and they were so excited to get in the water. So I was driving the boat I dropped them in the water. Nice visibility on the surface, like topside. It's like, sure, there's orcas over there. They're feeding. They look controlled. Obviously, you know how it works with wildlife. Don't approach them. Let them approach you. Put them into the water. By the time that I put them in the water and I sort of did a U-turn to come around and be nose on to the wind, this blizzard, which I didn't even see already, otherwise I wouldn't jump into the water, had a whiteout. I lost them in the water for about 30 seconds. And I was just like, this is the worst. And sorry, I forgot. They did jump in quicker than I asked them to. That was the way. Because I remember that because I got really upset with them when they got back on the boat. I was like, guys, you saw, because that was really cool. I'm sure you're excited that I'm see you right now. That was one of the worst experiences. My heart was like in my mouth for 30 seconds because I didn't know where you were. I mean, and how long do you last in the water in that sort of places if you're floating at sea?
But I'm assuming you're all on dry suits as well. And
no, not at all. Can't free dive in it. Well, you can, of course. Like you guys can wear whatever you want. Sort of tell the people, but no, you can't free dive in a. You want to free dive. You want to dive down. So I've got a smooth skin, which I think is 7 mil.
Okay.
And that's the best thing I find it incredible because the smooth skin deters the wind chill.
Okay.
So yeah, you get cold. You want to be moving the whole time, but if it's on, you're kind of in and out of the water, in and out, non-stop. So hopefully the blood's flowing pretty well.
Yeah.
You can do it in dry suits. Everyone else does it in dry suits, but you're a floating starfish, right?
Yeah.
It all comes back to a bait ball. You're chasing that bait ball. So the orcas ignore you. The orcas are like, I'm here to feed, leave me alone. So you want to witness it all. You want to keep up with the bait ball, but the last thing a bait ball wants is to be static. So it's constantly moving. So you're moving pretty quick.
That's much akin to South Africa.
Yeah.
People ask me about that, and they're like, I ain't not getting in the water with a shit ton of sharks. And well, the sharks aren't looking at the big silhouettes that you're making. They're looking for the tiny little fellas that are running around with their heads on fire.
You haven't been to Norway?
No. To be honest, I mean, I'd love to see orcas, but I think, I'm a bit of a pussy when it comes to the colder climates now. I mean, I went to Norway a few times when I was in the military, but having lived in the sun for too long now, I get cold when it gets down to anywhere near 10 degrees. That's it. I'm done.
That's cold, mate. It's yeah. I guess it's for me. It's a I know I'm coming back home, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna do warm soon, and also it's that you kind of you look forward to being in that little cabin. It's all warm with a fire and everything else. So hopefully you don't stay in the water too long.
Let's get away from the cold for a bit. Tell me about Tubbataha, buddy. I'm going there next year.
Tubbataha is a marine reserve in the Philippines. It's a very long way off. It is. There's a bit of everything out there, actually. Basically, just there's no land masses really. You got a ranger station out there. So you can do a liveaboard out there. How did I do it? I think I did a liveaboard in my 20s, so it's a long time ago. But just lovely diving, healthy diving. And as I said in the book, kind of just expect anything to happen. You shoot macro, but you don't want to shoot macro in case there's a whale shark behind you. My brother had that exact same story. He lived based in the Philippines for some period of time, and he had a whale shark pop up on him, but he was photographing on the wall. No, he was someone else was photographing on the wall, and he was the little guy pointing it out for him. And all of a sudden, turned around, there's a whale shark almost tapping him on the shoulder. So, yeah, the Philippines is there's a few Philippines locations in the book, but Tubbataha is a must. How are you doing that?
I've chartered the boat with Asta Liverboards.
Awesome.
Yeah. So if you know anyone who wants a spot, I think I've got 3 spots left.
Go tomorrow. What am I looking at for? Unallow in the Philippines as well.
Yeah.
That was an interesting one to touch on. Blackwater diving. Have you dabbled with?
Yeah. How did you get on with it?
I did it I feel like I did it when it wasn't a thing. like years ago. I think maybe it was, well, obviously it was a thing, but I wasn't like wise up about it. And since then, kind of blew up, and I've just seen like this is a really cool thing that I'd love to try. Um, I might have, for memory, done like a bonfire dive instead when it was the same story. Like I was in my 20s doing it there. But it looks incredible, man. Like, so I know, like I remember Annandale well, so close to you're only diving right off the coast there. That's kind of a confined environment where it's pretty calm all the time, deep water, and just the concept of stuff that comes up. And there's some amazing blackwater photographers out there now.
Yeah, yeah. I seen who was it? The latest one, Alex Terrell. He's just been. In fact, he was diving in the Simmerlands. Did some blackwater diving in the Simmerlands. Posted some photos yesterday, I think it was, and they're fabulous. Yeah.
But yeah,
then you got Don Silcock doing it as well. He's enjoying it.
Yeah, you probably can't go wrong if you've got deep water and like a calm sort of environment, right? I would like to, from doing the research, like really learning about it for the book, I would love to have a dedicated blackwater trip in Annandale place for sure. And that's why I chose it as like an introduction to blackwater photography.
Yeah.
Because
I had an introduction to it in Ambon, and it was an introduction from the staff there, and excellent staff. However, you know, I at the time on that trip I had a compact with me, a G7X, so it was having real difficulty trying to focus in the water.
Yep.
I'd like to do it again, but with the bigger camera and crack on with it in proper fashion with a bit more guidance, I think, on how to achieve the goal. Yeah,
I think that's why I say it'd be good to do a dedicated sort of blackwater trip, because I think your instructor or your dive guide would definitely having you on like learning so much quickly than you would by yourself, because even like little things of like your point of reference, you know, I'm sure I would kind of just drift away, but kind of get not vertigo, but sort of lose my orientation pretty quick. Yeah, but just like look like this, so alien like, hey, like just the fact that
it's crazy, isn't it?
It's insane. And
yeah.
that little guy's probably 270, something like
that. Yeah.
Like photographing macro when you're static on the ground.
Now do it while drifting at night time.
While drifting at night time. The Pacific, we can go into the Pacific as much as you like.
What's your favorite bit in the Pacific then? Tell me about that.
I can touch on Palau that I went back to last year. I went back to Palau for the first time in probably 10 years in September, August, September, and loved it, man. I went out for just sort of to promote it for Palau tourism, because they just got direct flights with Nauru Air out to from Brisbane to Kotor, but I think it stopped straight away, and I think Qantas is taking it over, which is good, as they probably do. They probably watch the small players attempt something and not last, and then jump in. But I went there from a point of view to promote it, and just loved it now, because what I saw was the effects of conservation in action. Like, you know, lots of these locations around the world have good goals, but they haven't had the test of time to sort of show what a long period of conservation does. And it went up. It's just healthy. There's just a lot of fish there. And the best thing about Palau is if you can time it around spawning event, which we didn't. We originally had grouper spawning, maybe it was. No, was it something else? I don't know.
They have like snapper spawning and stuff like that or something,
I think it was snapper, because what happened is we went for snapper, plane got cancelled because of Nauru Air. And we went on the next flights, which means we missed the spawning, but we were there for the build up, because they got spawnings like full moons and new moons like all the time. We were there for the build up of a spawning for the groper, and it's just groper everywhere, man. Like they weren't spawning as such, like moving around actively. They were like dormantly just getting ready. It's like coral trout, we call them here in Australia. It's incredible. So many.
Did you notice a significant difference between 10 years ago and last year?
Yeah, I just felt it totally. I just felt like it was somewhere where you would take somebody to show them how beautiful the underwater world is. because it was just vibrant. It was vibrant. It was full of fish. And I feel like 10 years ago, it just was good, but I wasn't raving it about it to other places, like to other people, sorry, that they had to go there. But now I just feel like it's just somewhere they have to go. And particularly the funny thing is you used to have to, from Australia, you had to go, I'm going to stuff this up, but I think it was like Taipei, Guam, Palau maybe. So now we did 5.5 hours to get to tour from Brisbane. So that was as close as Bali was or something. So
yeah, that's it. I mean, Bali for us is like 9 hours, I think.
And if you forget about the conservation of it all, like naturally it's stunning. It's just got the rock islands, Jellyfish Lake. Well, actually, there was no jellyfish in Jellyfish Lake. That was the one. That was the one down point of comparing it to 10 years ago. 10 years ago was like.
So there's nothing there now.
No, it was empty.
I heard rumors that it had come back.
Yeah, there was nothing at all as of 6 months ago.
Right.
I think they had a drought 12 months prior, maybe. I think couldn't really get to the bottom of it, but I remember for memory's sake, it was going off 10 years ago. Like it was just, but not this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, Palau, absolutely couldn't recommend enough. Nice wrecks. What else? I went to Tonga straight after Palau on that same trip. Came home for a few days, changed the camera gear, changed the clothes, and went back to Tonga. And
mate, tell me about Tonga. It's so close, and it's so on my hit list. Yeah. And I wanted to go, and then COVID hit.
Tonga's the best. It's funny because I kind of was not off Tonga, but I just knew it was popular. I knew it was this destination that because a lot of Australians, like a lot of Australian photographers, just go there every year. And I think it must have got saturated with imagery of whales and clear water that I'd hit coast stream. But I had been to Tahiti a few times to experience humpbacks in the Pacific. But a good friend, Scott Patelli, he invited me over this year, and it is just, I don't know what I was thinking. Why was I putting it off? I don't know. It was just incredible, like crazy, crazy clear water. Whales that are just, the behavior is so close. Mothers and calves, excited escorts, heat runs, everything, breachings. And I think if you time your trip differently throughout the season, you get different behavior as well. But we had a lot of mothers and calves, and that wonderful combination of crazy clear water, whales up close, and just engagement. I want to go every year for the rest of my life. And the other thing about it is it's Tonga. Tonga is just so beautiful. The people are beautiful, man. It's paradise. It's a very special place.
What's the best way to do it then? Would you offer that you find your accommodation and your snorkeling operations separately?
No, I think you could go about it in many ways, but I think you'd struggle with that. I think a lot of operators provide accommodation. So I think you need to find an operator. I didn't meet anybody, or I don't know people that would go there first for accommodation and start looking for an operator. I think you'll have to work out your operator first. And then the operator as a package, they would include the accommodation. For our listeners, Scott Patelli is the man. I have to say that. I have to give him a plug. He's been doing it. He's an Australian, as most people would know. He's an incredible Australian photographer that's been going out there for, let's say, 20 plus years, longer than most people. And he's got dialed in. And he's got trips and accommodation and everything. And obviously just knows how it works.
Hook me up, mate. I'd love to have a chat with him.
Yeah, you guys should chat because he's a man.
Yeah.
Hey folks, Tonga and those amazing whale encounters. How awesome do they sound? Well, if whales are your thing, how about joining me for an unforgettable dwarf minke whale adventure on Australia's Great Barrier Reef? This July, I will be on board the MV Argo with just 12 lucky guests, alongside 2 phenomenal co-hosts. World-renowned underwater photographer, Nauticam and Maris ambassador Nicholas Remy, founder of the Underwater Club, and local Great Barrier Reef expert Martin Connolly, founder of Scuba IQ. This is a once-in-a-lifetime trip,
with the incredible wildlife, expert guidance, and epic photography opportunities. Spots really are limited, so check out the details in the show notes and book now before they're gone.
Sorry, because the next page I had here was the Coolidge in Vanuatu. Have you?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Jazz and I were going to go and do it, and again, it was one of those that got kiboshed when COVID kicked off.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. It's right here. Like Vanuatu is a very easy, accessible location for Australians. I went over there as a 21-year-old dive master and did 6 months in Vanuatu. It was my first time as a dive professional, call it. So I ended up being a dive guide in Port Vila and then later on the Coolidge here in Santo. So I've got a nice sort of sentimental bond with it. But I did my first return trip 2 years ago to photograph the wreck for the book, because 20 plus years ago I didn't have any photos of the wreck. But man, it's wild. It's wild to see that it's one of the best wreck dives in the world. And even if you're not a wreck diving person, if it's not your thing, it's a must do. It's a shore dive. So yeah, just I'll break it down from the beginning. It's Santo's the largest island in Vanuatu. It's in the northern island. And during the war, the Americans ran out of battleships, and they decided to modify cruise ships by putting artillery and everything else all over cruise ships, and then to bring them into action for the war. So you got yourself a ship that's got ballrooms and sort of spiral staircases and nice sort of ceramic artworks and whatnot. And then it's got cargo holds. It's got machine guns and everything. It's got military toilets, like all lined up in a row, that sort of stuff. So it's the best of both worlds. And then what happened is it just was coming into the canal right in in Santo there in the capital, and hit one of its own mines that was meant to be for Japanese submarines, I think. So the captain just ran it aground. I think everybody got off apart from the captain. I think one person died. It could have actually, I think it might have been the captain, I'm not sure. So you got yourself an incredible shore dive, which is this 200-meter long wreck that starts in 20 meters of water and it slopes down to 70. And you
could spend an age on that, couldn't you?
Well, I mean, the dive guides dive it every single day of their life, over and over, but you can dive it forever, over and over and over. It's stunning, and it's deep enough. It's probably a really good introduction to deep diving too for a lot of people, because you tend to find yourself going deeper and deeper all the time. And as you dive deeper, it becomes the main focus is the fact that you're deep, so you're thinking differently, you're acting differently, learning about narcosis as well. It's awesome. What else can I say? Probably my hot tip: do a night dive. Night dive, I'm not a big night diver. I night dive whenever it's recommended, but I'm probably done by the time it gets to night time most of the time. But the best thing about diving the Coolidge at night time is flashlight fish. It is it's just flashlight fish are your little cardinal fish. They're probably an inch long, and they have a little neon blue flicking light behind their eye. And they're a firefly of the sea, So you've got schools of this cardinal fish, and they're just flicking off on like that. And they silhouette stuff. So you do the typical drive, go down with torches, see where you're going, sit down, turn everything off, wait for 10 minutes, see your first one, see your second one, and all of a sudden you just got 1,000 glowworm fish all around you. It's insane.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's very tricky.
And you say you did 6 months there?
When I was 21. Well, I did a bit of time in Port Vila as a dive guide, and then dive master dive guide, and then on the Coolidge somehow just ended up. Well, that's the main business there, but I ended up doing a little bit of guiding on it too, which I didn't take people too far, because you think about it, it's like the Fair Star, right? You're going to get lost on the Fair Star when it's on the surface, let alone on the water. So I think we're doing a bit of guiding pretty much on the exterior of the boat.
Deal.
It is.
I got
Yeah.
There's a Kevin Green. He lived in Vanuatu, and I think he owned one of the dive shops there for many years.
Aquamarine, is that right?
Oh, it might have been it. Yeah.
Yeah, there used to be two operators in Santo. Now there's one called Pacific Dive. But yeah, Alan Power, he was a famous guy too.
Yeah.
He was like the godfather of the Coolidge. I think he was the nickname up on stage there. He's just an old fellow that kind of, I think he sort of brought diving to the area.
No. Tufi? That's where I ran the dive operations.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wanted to put Tufi in there because I knew I wasn't as known as much as other locations in New Guinea. I just felt like, because plus the top side of the fjords they have there, or they call them fjords, but they're Rias, I think.
Rias, yeah. I was fortunate enough to be employed there and given a free rein to go off and explore as well when there was no customers. So there's several reefs that I found there and named the local villagers' names. Yeah. Well, to be honest as well, Tufi, in fact, Master Liverboards took me on board 2019 to bring their boat into Papua New Guinea and show them where to dive because they'd never been there. And we went all over the place, went up into regions of the Star Reef that were, way off the charts. And nothing I found, compared to the outer reefs of Tufi.
Yeah, wow.
The reefs there, some of them come up to breach the surface by 0.5 meter, and they plummet down to 90 meters plus.
Sorry.
But they're massive. A couple of the reefs are 0.5 kilometer by 3/4 kilometer, and just phenomenally beautiful. It's an insane location.
Yeah, my brother was based as a pilot there for a long time, but
was he Tropic Air?
No, he was heli lift.
Ah, okay. I'm going out there next January, end of January, with Nicholas Remy. Taking him out there so he can have a look at the location. We're going to spend a couple of weeks and just invite people to come along and do it as a mini exped, because I'm one of the few that are a regular diver of the blackjack as well.
Okay. So you're the man for Tufi.
Mate, I've done over 1,000 dives in Tufi alone.
Wow, there you go. You definitely have. That's good.
Much like you were saying earlier on about Lord Howe, if I hadn't have left Tufi when I had, I think I'd still be there now. Just get drawn into it.
Did you get off Tufi much? Was there like a rotation of sorts where you could quiet time and get away, or
nah? I had 2 trips where I went to Port Moresby.
Yeah.
And that was just to get away. One was when I was feeling a bit crook, and the other one was when I got a leg infection. So I had three days away each time to Port Moresby, and that was it.
Jeez, you did your time there. $1,000 later. Love it.
Yep. But I was in my element. I was getting really good food.
Yeah. They
were shipping in bottles of whiskey for me, so I'd never ran out of whiskey. And at the time, I was a smoker as well, and all the P&G boys were smokers. I'd sit out the front with them and have a smoke and a yarn, and we'd go diving the next day and just take people diving.
That's the perks of being the dive master in a place that you're very familiar with. Hey, that's kind of my time in Lord Howe Island that we were talking about before. Just knowing how it works, knowing that you've got a window of like you can get back in the water or whatever it might be, or
Lord Howe actually intrigues me immensely. Reading those bits in your book about it as well, it looks phenomenal. And I've got a really good friend here he's not a diver, but he's been to the island and snorkeled, and he just can't stop raging about it.
I don't know how it's not, like, it gets compared to like the Galapagos of the South Pacific, but I'm sure that sort of terminology gets thrown around a lot with no matter where you go. It deserves a lot of praise for its natural beauty. I think it gets called the southernmost tropical reef in the world, if not definitely Australia, but it's got this really good blend of tropical and temperate species together on top of volcanic structure. And it's just unique. Like, it just kind of looks, because you got this volcanic structure, which is like swim-throughs and caves and everything else. And then you've got like grasses and algae with coral mixed through it. It's very special. And then it's very Jurassic Park kind of land, lost in time kind of vibes. Like, have you heard about Ball's Pyramid to the south of Lord Howe?
I read a bit in your book about it.
Yeah, that's so the highest sea stack in the world. So you got a 600-meter high shark fin, and it's just this pure, sort of really narrow volcanic structure, which is just like a shark fin, and I think it's 16 nautical miles south of the island, and it's just huge, and it's just got clouds that hang off it, birds swirling all around it. You've got heaps of wildlife that only nests on the isle, on that rock, and then migrates to Japan and whatnot. There's a stick insect called the phasmid, which is this biggest, it's an endemic stick insect to that rock now, because it used to be on the island as well until rats kind of did their thing. So yeah, and the diving's beautiful. It's really, really special. It's you get a lot of sort of endemic species underwater as well, and a lot of stuff. Kind of, for some reason, you get a lot of sort of tropical species or temperate species that kind of excel where they don't in other environments, so they become like more of a major player, kind of in at Lord Howe, which is really interesting. Kingfish, the yellow kingfish. That's the main big sort of fighting fish there.
Yeah.
But it's just so pretty. It's just two big mountains, big lagoon, a lot of crazy people. So there's not a very big population there.
Yeah.
I think the numbers must change a lot now, but it sort of sits around sort of 400 or 500. Maybe, or when I was there, it was 350. So it's probably 400, 450 locals, and then you're no more than 1,000 tourists at one time.
Yeah. Isn't there, correct me if I'm wrong, but is it Lord Howe that's got its own like endemic species on top of the highest point within the jungle there or something?
There's a cloud forest on top of the there's like a, what is it called, like a moss forest, I think it's called. So you've got like kind of Mount Gower is the highest mountain there. You can climb to the top of Mount Gower. And yeah, there's different mosses there, different ferns. There's the Kentia palm, which is a palm tree that was exported all around the world and claimed as the best indoor palm in the world. Hails from Lord Howe Island. So yeah, there's heaps of endemic plant life. There's the birds. The birds are like just untamed.
Yeah,
like you can call them down from the sky. As crazy as it sounds. There's some different. There's a Providence petrel where certain times of year you can just clap your hands and scream out loud and catch them. What? You don't want to catch them. You're not supposed to catch them, but they do come down to. So
they just come down for a hug.
Yeah, they come down for a bit of TLC. Yeah.
That's fabulous.
Yeah. Well, you have to, mate. It's incredible. And there's a young fella there, Aaron, who's a lifelong old friend. He runs a dive shop now, Pro Dive. Sorry, no longer Pro Dive. It's called maybe Lord Howe Divers, I think it's called. And yeah, it's the only dive shop in the island, and they're killing it. They're doing really well.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to get them on my website as well. One of the things that I'm doing with it is not only liveaboards and resorts, but I want to promote dive shops and dive ambassadors, people that are doing their own thing,
Oh, that'd be fascinating. That'd be really enjoyable for both of you guys.
Yeah, no, tip top. All right, what about, in fact, Maldives?
Yeah, I love Maldives. I've been there a lot,
You've been there a few times, haven't you?
Yeah, all over the place. Yeah, Bar Atoll. Bar Atoll is obviously a win for the mantas. Fuvahmulah down south for different sharks as well. But are we there? Sorry. Yeah, Bar Atoll's incredible for your mantas. I think that's one of the highlights I've had for sort of how do you classify that? Well, big manta experiences anyway. I had the chance to be there for a month on a one of the resorts, photographing for them, and that was really cool to see the lead up once again to your full moons and new moons, and how the sort of plankton became more prolific during that time. And then your mantas, we have like a couple of mantas. You had good days and bad days, and then get closer to those full moons and just go off.
Is that where you got the imagery for the manta trains and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so that was really special because you have you dived out there, sorry?
No, not yet.
Yeah, it's the manta train's rad because you kind of can see it happening because you've got this little Honeyfaru Bay is kind of like this small. It's hard to get a judgment of how big it is because it's it's all flat everywhere in the Maldives, but it's just like a, how do I call it, like a sandbank has created like a small bay. So you got the small bay and it's like concentrated plankton there. So the mantas, as they sort of become more prolific in one setting, they start to create like train formations, and it's all about helping the manta behind them. It's all about the efficiency of feeding. They're all kind of creating this sort of train effect, and it just looks so rad. Then coming towards you, and then backflipping, and once again the whole backflip is about how do I get maxo plankton and in minimal efficiency. But the cool thing with the manta trains is start to have like a manta train, and then eventually, if you have enough there, the manta train can get quite long that it kind of links up to its tail, and it comes. They call it a cyclone. It's just this mess of mantas just going everywhere.
Beautiful.
So, it's really cool.
Does it is it the bay itself? Does it get a bit hectic with the old tourism?
Yeah, because you've got a number of. I mean, you're gonna have a lot of operators there, but they do come from different islands, and I think liveaboard boats obviously do it too. But they've got like a ranger, and the ranger is on one of the boats. His job is to monitor how many people are in the bay at any one time. Is he doing his job? I don't know. But there's somebody there, and that they're aware that the main thing is boat traffic. You got a surface mammal that's can easily just gets fin chops, propeller chop, you want to call it. So yes, no, it's incredible.
And I wanted to ask you about Fuvahmulah as well.
Yeah, all sorts of they tigers is the big thing. Did you see that tiger footage recently down there?
The what? Sorry?
Did you see the tiger shark footage recently down there?
Which bit?
There was footage of a tiger shark.
The guy getting a bit of a chomp.
Yeah, getting a head massage.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it. I just saw that recently. I was like, that's not a good look, is it?
No. Well, it was. The reason I wanted to ask about it was because it's obviously come on the radar more and more popular over the last 3, 4, 5 years. So I wanted to pick your brains and see if it's got as hectic as it.
I only went there briefly, and it was pretty controlled. We saw hammerheads. I think I saw a mako on the mako or thrasher in the distance. But I know, like, we kind of flew in, flew out for it. It was with the super yacht thing, so kind of was. I don't want to sound like an expert on it because I did it briefly from like a touch and go kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was before it seemed to be getting more and more popular now, and now I think it comes back to the discussion of shark feeding, right? And where what its place is. I don't really know how to. I think shark feeding has its place in a controlled environment, but if it's happening day in, day out, with too many punters, someone's going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, obviously, as well. So, yeah. A tricky one to add. But I think historically, it was also, Fuvahmulah was they had like a fishery, right? Like tunery. So, it's it's got a history with kind of the congregation of big predatorial sharks. So,
yeah. So, I've got to ask, of your book, of your life as Todd the diver, what's been your most exciting and exhilarating location?
I mean, Norway has its effect on me. I think that's been something that's definitely can't dismiss. Maybe I can talk about something else because I've talked about that a lot.
I had a funny feeling you would say that one.
Lord Howard's going to be a close second as well, just because of sentimental reasons of kind of like putting so much time in there, same as yourself with 2 feet. But I can't dismiss, like I grew up in Kansas when I was younger, so I've had a lot of experiences out there, and also I've included the far north ribbon reefs, Osprey Reef and stuff like that. So like we haven't, like, that's incredible diving out there. It's very sort of open to the elements, but also if you put yourself in the right little coral garden, it's very Finding Nemo too, right? It's very just perfect.
Mate, I did it a couple of years ago with Martin Connolly from Scuba IQ out of Port Douglas.
Yep.
He invited me along, and I went with him for a trip for a week, and I was super impressed, you know, because as an outsider, you know, I've only been in Australia 7 years now, and as an outsider, you get told that the coral's dying and it's all getting bleached off and it's shit, blah blah blah. But I spent 5 nights up in the ribbon reefs and absolutely loved it, especially, and much like you, I'm not a massive fan of night diving, but I did a night dive and turned a light on, and all of a sudden there's a gazillion sharks around you hunting for food. It's fabulous.
The JTs are more dangerous.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah. That's an interesting one, hey, because I think you're right. It's like to touch on that quickly, like, it does get a lot of bad press, the Great Barrier Reef. And there's no denying it. It gets a very hard time too. Like, it gets knocked around like crazy. It's a very fragile reef system. It's very old too, so it's gone through a lot of adversity in the past. But the biggest takeaway is it's huge. You've got to be careful not to generalize, right? Like, I think to dismiss something straight away and say the Great Barrier Reef's not good or whatever. Maybe some parts aren't as good as other parts, or maybe some parts have had a harder time lately than other places have. But everybody needs to dive Great Barrier Reef, different regions. But I want to push the far north. I think the far north is down as well, really, and that's probably some of the more, you could argue, more fragile stuff too, because it's kind of more cyclone heavy. It's more tropical. It's not gonna it's gonna sort of get the warmer temperatures as well. But yeah, and then like the seamounts like Osprey Reef and stuff like that, they're incredible.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, hopefully, I'm actually planning to go back up there this July. Do the minke trip, the dwarf minkies.
Yeah, I did. I helped on a Crown of Thorns research boat once, and the only reason I said I'd go on the boat was it was middle of winter and I knew that there's potential of seeing minkies. Well, one, but it wasn't the right kind of environment for me to go. You should have just waited for a dive trip. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, can the photographer please get in the water? I know you guys are trying to get rid of Crown of Thorns, but I want to go see minke whales. But awesome.
Yeah, no.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm not sure that answered your question, mate, about the best dive highlights. But
yeah. Well, okay, I tell you what then. Instead of the highlights, what's the one location that is keeping a little ember burning in your soul that you want to go to that you've not hit yet?
There's a few in the book that I haven't put in the book because I don't want to bring too much attention to just yet. I would love to go back to do a full loop of what we started talking about in the beginning. I'd love to go back to the Galapagos, because I know it's super special, and that scratches that little part of my brain that wants me to go back there. And in that same conversation, Cocos Island as well, I'd love to go back to Cocos Island in Costa Rica, for the same reason. I did both trips in the same sort of route, on a super yacht, and just loved it. Love that part of the world. Love the big megafauna that comes out of there, big sharks, everything else. I love how it just feels kind of not dangerous but raw, you know, like it's real diving.
A little bit. It's a little bit off the beaten track from the most, isn't it?
I think so. It's like, maybe it's for the diehards or for the dedicated. I don't know, but it kind of yeah, I like the idea. And I think, like we started talking about before, I like the idea of just sort of sitting and waiting. I know that those are the sites, those are the locations where the rewards are the greatest for doing your time underwater.
Yeah. No, good on you.
That's probably a good answer.
Yeah. All right, mate. Well, I think we'll round it off. So the book is going to be available start of February.
Yeah, start of February. You can always just Google Ultimate Dive Sites or my name, Todd Thimios. It'll pop up, hopefully in a few different places. But the idea is that it's in all bookstores around Australia and overseas as well, Europe and North America. But yeah, the idea is that it's not too hard to find. So hopefully, if I find it from my website, if you get lost, or little and big bookstores like Amazon.
Happy days. Well, we'll stick all the links in the show notes, and people can find their way to you. And if you get stuck, folks, just give me a shout, and I'll point you in the direction of this legend.
Amazing.
Todd,
You're the man.
Thanks for coming on the show, man. And we tried a couple of times, and Wi-Fi got in the way, but we got there in the end.
Yeah, much appreciated, Matt. It's been really fun. Hopefully, we'll do it again soon. And I look forward to seeing you in person in when's that, March?
Yeah, it's just around the corner now, isn't it?
Yeah, too close. I'll be doing some public.
Too easy.
I'll be doing some public speaking, so I'm not sure if I'm wishing it to come sooner or later. I don't know, but it's.
You'll be fine, mate. You'll be fine.
Awesome
stuff. Thanks very much for coming on the show, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening, guys. Bye for now.